Hey everyone, it's Stratus here, and I'm going to be going over some of the weapon histories and some of the stats and my personal feelings about different guns for Call of Duty World War II. And today we are going to be starting it off with the rifles part of all the Call of Duty World War II guns. And the very first one will be the M1941 Johnson rifle or machine gun, however you want to call it. And this is the very first gun that you start off with in the rifles section of Call of Duty World War II. The M1941 Johnson light machine gun, which was also known as the Johnson or Johnny gun, was an American recoil-operated light machine gun designed in the late 1930s by Melvin Johnson, and that's where it gets the name Johnson machine gun. This design was supposed to be a semi-automatic rifle that would compete with the original M1. It was developed in late 1937. Johnson's light machine gun was one of the few to operate on recoil operation and was manufactured to a high standard. It was fed from a curved single-column magazine attached to the left side of the receiver. Company brochures list a 20-round magazine as standard. Additionally, the weapon could be loaded by stripper clips at the ejection port or by single rounds fed into the breech. The rate of fire was adjustable from 200 to 600 rounds per minute. Two versions were built, the M1941 with a wooden stock and a metal bipod, or the M1944 with a tubular steel butt and a wooden monopod. So it kind of sounds like 3 years later in development, they tried to cut down some of the weight on the stock. The one that we get in World War II, or Call of Duty World War II, is the one with the wooden stock and a metal bipod. The design intended the recoil forces to travel along the mass of the weapon's moving parts in a direct line to the shoulder of the gunner. While this design minimized muzzle climb, the sights had to be placed higher above the bore. And we can see this in the game as obviously the sights are like an inch or so above the actual gun. The weapon has many parallels with the German FG-42, which I will make a separate video later about the FG-42. And both feed from the left side, and both fire from an open bolt while in automatic and a closed bolt while in semi-auto. Both weapons were awkward to carry loaded with a side-mounted magazine. The Johnson had an especially lengthy single-column magazine, and this feature tended to unbalance the weapon. Despite these similarities, there is no evidence that either weapon had any effect on the design of others. Both weapons attempted to solve similar problems and adopted similar solutions. Now, who was the M1941 Johnson used by? The Johnson sold small quantities of the LMG to the U.S. Army and Marine Corps. During the Second World War, both forces within the Allies demanded a more portable, lighter, more accurate automatic rifle that provided the equivalent stopping power of the BAR. As a result, the machine gun was adapted as the BAR replacement for commandos operating behind Axis lines. The 1st Special Service Force, raised jointly with men from Canada and the United States, traded the Marine Corps 125 of the new Johnson LMGs for plastic explosives. They were used in lieu of BARs, but as they wore out and were lost in combat, they were replaced by BARs. So the Johnson LMG was used by the Philippine Army during World War II under the Japanese military occupation from 1942 to 1945 and post-war from 1945 to the 1960s, including during the Huk Balahap Rebellion and the Philippine Expeditionary Forces to Korea. Shortly after the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, the predecessor of the Israeli Defense Forces, Haganah, developed a close copy of the Johnson LMG, the Drawer, in both .303 British and 7.92 by 57mm Mauser. Israeli forces found the Drawer prone to jam from sand and dust ingress, and the weapon was discontinued after a brief period of service. The Johnson M1941 LMG saw service from 1940 to 1961. It was used in World War II, the Korean War, the Huk Balahap War Rebellion, and Cuban Revolution. It was designed in 1940 and produced in 1941, and there was about 9,500 of these units built. And there was only two variants, the M1941 and the M1944. This gun was pretty heavy, weighing at about 13 pounds. and it shot a 30-06 Springfield, essentially the same round as M1 Garand. And again, this gun shot 300 to 900 rounds per minute, so it was variable. So you had a semi-automatic action, and then you had a fully automatic action. I really wonder why Sledgehammer didn't give you the option to shoot it semi-automatic or shoot it fully automatic, because as I'm about to go over in this game, in my personal feelings of the gun in the game, it gets kind of hard to use at longer ranges. And the muzzle velocity is 853.6 meters per second, so it shoots it shoots a fairly fast bullet. And as I said before, it has a 20 round magazine, which is kind of interesting considering that Sledgehammer decided to make the standard magazine 25 rounds. I wonder if that was a mistake, or they decided they needed to give us 5 extra bullets just because it shoots fairly fast, or it doesn't have enough damage or something. I'm really not sure about that. For my personal feelings of the gun and how it plays out in the game and everything, it is not good at long range at all. Just because the recoil is so bad and it shoots so fast, it's not very good at long range. And that's why I kind of wish that they let you use the actual select fire that was on the real gun, so you could use it as a semi-automatic rifle to, you know, kind of hit your target a little bit better at longer ranges. At medium ranges, this gun absolutely melts people. Like, you get the draw on somebody, they're down in a heartbeat because it shoots so fast, has decent damage. I don't know. It just absolutely shreds people. But up close, it's also not that great of a gun. The hip fire in the game for this gun is kind of all over the place. And unless you get your sights right on the person and you're shooting before they do, especially if the other person has a submachine gun, you're going to get killed. Another problem with the gun is it has a small magazine size for how fast it shoots. 25 bullets is not a lot. So you will find that you have to reload at least after 2, sometimes 3 kills if you get lucky. Depending on how well of a shot you are, you might even be able to pull out 4. So this is a gun that I definitely recommend using extended mags on. Now the sights on this gun, to me personally, are perfectly fine. So I feel like if you put any sights on this gun, it's kind of a waste. The 4X scope, in my opinion, you don't even need to use that because the gun's really not that effective for the range needed for a 4X scope. Personally, the 3 attachments I put on this gun while I'm using the infantry division is foregrip, quick draw, and extended mags. Foregrip obviously helps you stabilize the gun and control recoil. Quick draw helps you bring the gun up a little faster, so that way you can get more shots on point, and it does also help with recoil a little bit. And then extended mags, because with the extended mags you get 37 rounds in one magazine, and that will help you get at least another kill or so if you need to. M1941 Johnson LMG, for whatever reason they call it a rifle in CoD WW2, it's a pretty solid gun. It does have its limitations at longer ranges, and it's definitely an interesting gun. Like I said, it's kind of similar to the FG42, and I will be making a separate video about that sometime in the future. If you have enjoyed this video, then please click that like button for me and leave a comment down below. Also be sure to click that subscribe button as well so you can keep up with future videos that are released. And to be sure that you're on top of those videos when they come out, be sure to click the bell icon for alerts for the videos and channel activity. I hope y'all have a great day, and I'll see y'all next time.